Hello. In this brief demo, we will talk about SUSE Manager for Retail and how it can be used to scale your retail environment. In this demonstration, we have two different branches, branch 3 and branch 23, that roughly correlate to stores or retail locations. I have two different kinds of registers or point of sale devices that are available to me in these terminals, in these branches. And then SUSE Manager infrastructure is there to manage it. So I have a SUSE Manager server that you're viewing the graphical interface of, and branch servers that are running each of the two branches. So I want to create an image that my registers can boot from. SUSE Manager allows me to create a variety of different kinds of images and make multiple builds of those images as time progresses that include patches and newer updates. So these images are built from a profile that looks like this on the SUSE Manager server. It references a GitHub entry like this one, where I have a graphical image of SUSE Linux Enterprise Point of Service. This happens to be version 15 SP4, and I tell it what kind of packages to install and other instructions that create the system. So this profile is made available publicly. There's example ones for you to start with. This one's been customized for this usage. So when I take that image and I can build it on the SUSE Manager server, and when I do, it actually uses an external build host to come back and create these different versions of these images. So now I'm ready to actually deploy the images to my server. So my systems, as I've said, I have two different kinds of hardware. Each of those kinds of hardware is assigned an OS image to deploy. This particular one is SLES15 SP4, and it has a graphical interface, and it's designed to do a Pixie boot with EFI. So these are EFI-based systems, and you can see I've created a partition here, a VFAT partition for EFI. So when it comes up, it will boot off the network from my branch server. So these systems are arranged in groups. So for example, this branch 3, if I look at the systems, there are 3. I have my branch server and the 2 terminals. The terminals are actually connected through this branch server back to SUSE Manager. So the image is built, it's moved from SUSE Manager to the branch. There's a synchronization process that moves those images back out to the branch, and then the client systems pick those up, and they pick them up at boot time. You can see that this one has a newer image, and it's all up to date. This one has an older image, and as you can see, all my patches that are available to me were from December, the last month of 2022. So my newer image already has them applied. This one does not. All the systems, once they've booted, will register to SUSE Manager, and I can do individual actions on each of those systems. But what I'd like to do is redeploy the image to this system. I can boot it a number of ways, and it will automatically get the update since the version that this is running is newer. So if I just reboot it, and I can do that a number of ways. As we've said, I can tell it centrally from the SUSE Manager box to boot, or I can simply go to that box itself. So this one is number 4. So there's number 3. Where's number 4? Here it is. And all I have to do is boot it. Or I can act like someone who might be in a branch and just hit the reset button and do a forced reset. And when it does, it will boot off the network and back to our SUSE Manager server. These systems are running on a different branch. This is branch 23. And as you can see, it's pointing to a different web page than this one that's built into the image. So I can customize it and tell it however I want it to boot. Now this is booting back. In my SUSE Manager server, I have full control over what actions I want to take on these systems. So for example, if I want to run remote commands on these systems, all I have to do is search for the remote command button. All of my branch terminals start with this capital B. So if I find my targets, it will see all of them. And I can do things like find out what kernel it's running. I can do anything from here from a command line that I might otherwise. And you can see my responses here that they're running these different kernels. So you can see this is /15SP4 with that 514 kernel, and this is 15SP3. All of my patches are controlled in channels in SUSE Manager, where I have granular control over monthly updates. So I can create an update channel for test and production and even archive channels with certain dates that I filter by, or any other filters that I find relevant and important for me to organize my update. Then these systems are assigned those when they boot, and when they're complete, they come up and are visible to me in SUSE Manager. This is very useful if you only have a few stores, but it's also very helpful if you have many hundreds of stores or thousands of stores. And SUSE Manager for Retail can scale to tens of thousands of stores. I hope you've enjoyed this brief demo, and will give SUSE Manager for Retail a try.